Hey, are you thinking about moving to Seattle, but you don't really know about the suburbs and cities around it? Well, in today's video, I am going to take you to my 5 top suburbs around Seattle, Washington, and give you an idea about what it would be like living there. I'm going to explain some of the pros and the cons, and then you're going to jump in the car with me and we're going to travel that town, at least on a smaller scale. We're not going to dive in as deep as we do in some of my other videos, but it's going to give you a better idea about some of the great suburbs around Seattle, Washington. So if that sounds interesting to you, then let's get after it. Hey, if this is your first time in my channel and you want to know about moving to Seattle or the suburbs around it, then subscribe to my channel and tap that bell for notifications so that you can be the first to learn about the current market here in Seattle, Washington. Hi, this is Kelsey Anderson, and we get contacted all the time from people just like you looking to make their move to Seattle, and we absolutely love it. So whether you're looking to move in 7 days or 70 days, get in contact with me using the information in the description below so we can help you make that easy breezy move to Seattle. Now, like I was saying, if you are thinking about moving to Seattle, but you don't really know where, I'm gonna tell you right now that downtown Seattle, in the Seattle proper boundary, is not gonna be the place you're gonna wanna live, especially if you have kids or you have to commute into Bellevue or north or south. You're just not going to want to live in the city. So a few reasons why living in Seattle is not the best place. Number one, there's huge traffic congestion in Seattle because of construction and just the way the city has so many hills. Just geographically, it's just not meant for people in large amounts living in a city. So traffic congestion is really bad. The school system, overall, it's not bad for a city, but depending on the area you are in Seattle, you are gonna have some better rated schools and some lower rated schools. And that's gonna be something you're gonna wanna do your research on. Another con of living in Seattle is the homelessness problem. There's graffiti. Sometimes there can be a drug use right on the street, and it's just not the safest place. I know that I would want for my family. And so that's something you're going to want to consider when you're thinking about moving to Seattle, the city itself. In addition to that, you've got more crime as a result of that homelessness, and parking is going to be an issue as well. So when you go into the city, you want to catch a show, you want to go to a restaurant, that's all great, but where do you find parking? You're probably going to have to end up taking an Uber into the city anyways, which is going to cost money. And if you're doing all that and living in the city, then what's the point of even living in the city, right? So I want to jump into my favorite suburbs around Seattle. Now, there are a lot of top suburbs that could have made this list, but I'm going to tell you my top 5 and tell you some good things and some bad things about them. We're going to start our list with the number 1 suburb around Seattle, Washington, and that is Bellevue, Washington. So if you just head over the lake, you can take either I-90 west or you can take 520 west, and you can get over to Seattle just 10 miles east of Seattle. Bellevue, Washington is a beautiful city. It is known for just sort of high-end living. And so the number 1 part about living in Bellevue is just the super safe nature of the city, as well as all the amenities that surround you. Bellevue is also just super diverse. And there's just lots of things to do. There's lakes, there's multiple movie theaters and bars and restaurants, theaters, just lots of things to do right in the city, and you're super close to Seattle. Now, the con of living in Bellevue, Washington is definitely the price tag. So anything that has Bellevue attached to it, whether it's a restaurant there or even, shopping or other services that are in town, the price tag of mortgage in Bellevue is just higher. So it makes just everything, all your expenses in Bellevue higher as well. The median home price is super high. We're going to get into that as you drive around, but it's a lot of money to live in Bellevue. So that's a huge con. Now we've gone over the pros and the cons of living in Bellevue, Washington. Let's hop in my car and get a better idea of what it looks like if you live in Bellevue. Bellevue, Washington. The population in Bellevue is 150,000 people. The distance to Seattle is about 15 minutes, could be even less depending on what part of Bellevue you're in. But you're really just across Lake Washington to get to Seattle. The short distance to the airport as well, just about 25 minutes to get into SeaTac Airport. The median home price in Bellevue, Washington is $1.3 million, and the average income is $144,000. That's per household income. Next up, we've got some school district statistics. It is the #1 school district rated in Washington, which is one of my reasons it comes in first as suburbs of Seattle. It's got amazing A ratings in college preparation, teachers, academics, resources and facilities, diversity, and clubs and activities. 94% of students graduate in 4 years, 73% are passing reading exams, and 63% are passing math exams. The #2 best suburb to live outside of Seattle, Washington is definitely Kirkland, Washington. This is a beautiful town just located north of Bellevue and sort of northeast of Seattle. This is a gorgeous sort of beach town. If you are in this town, you definitely feel like you are not even in the state of Washington. You feel like you're in California or somewhere just a little bit fancier than how Washington is sort of perceived. This is just the quaintest little town. The downtown area is super popular. There's lots of beaches, lots of restaurants and hotels right down on the Lake Washington waterfront. Lake Washington is a lake right next to Seattle. So again, Kirkland's just hop, skip, and a jump away from Seattle on the northeast side. Lots of active people live in Kirkland and just a lot of adorable neighborhoods, really updated houses, some new developments, but a lot of homes have just been updated, have incredible views of the water, just a beautiful place to live if you can snag a spot in Kirkland, Washington. Now, the con of living in Kirkland, Washington, home prices are high, but you get to live in really like a beach town. And so the con coupled with that is the traffic. So a little bit worse than Bellevue. This is why it's coming in at that 2 spot, is that you might hit some traffic on 405 getting into the city. Whether you're wanting to connect to Seattle on 90 or into Bellevue, you're going to have to do 405 south from Kirkland to get into those cities. And so you might hit some traffic if you have to travel during rush hour. Now let's get in the car and see what it's like to live in Kirkland, Washington. So Kirkland, Washington comes in behind Bellevue, but barely behind Bellevue. This is a beautiful lakefront city. Population size is 92,000, and this population has been growing and fast. There are amazing apartments and condos downtown, as well as tons of shopping and dining and events, you name it. Up in the hills, you're gonna see more homes and neighborhoods, more residential neighborhoods. The distance to Seattle is 18 minutes, and it will take you about 30 minutes to get to the airport. The median home price is $1,056,000, a little bit cheaper than Bellevue, and the average household income is $130,000. Another incredible school district. Kirkland is a part of the Lake Washington School District,
which earns an A+ rating from niche.com. It's got outstanding remarks from niche.com, earning A's in academics, college prep, and teachers.
The third best suburb around Seattle, Washington is Mercer Island. Mercer Island is known for its super high-end houses. Almost every house along the water has a beautiful view of Lake Washington. So this island is situated right in the middle of Lake Washington and has impeccable views of the city, of Seattle, and of the mountains and the water. It's just incredible. Everyone in the community of Mercer Island seems to know each other, so it's a super tight-knit community. It's got really amazing schools, and it's got a fair amount of things to do. There are some restaurants on both sides of the island, which is pretty great. But the con is that the prices are the highest in the area, several millions of dollars to live on Mercer Island, especially if you want a view. It's going to be over $3 million. And then also, if you want to do anything that's off of the island, like go see a movie or go to a, larger chain restaurant or sort of a specialty lounge or bar, you have to get on the freeway, either going over to west to Seattle or east to Bellevue. But you are so close that it barely makes it a con if you live there, but it is something to consider. Now let's get in my car and check out Mercer Island. What does it look like to live there?
Mercer Island is an incredible place to live. It is located right in between Bellevue and Seattle on exactly what it's called, a little island. A beautiful road surrounds this entire island, and so many of the homes have incredible water views, making this a very expensive but beautiful place to live. The population is 26,000 people, and it's 10 minutes from Seattle and about 25 minutes to the airport. The median home price in this beautiful little island is just a slight $2.1 million, and the average income in households is $176,000. The school district is outstanding. There's only one high school on this small island, but the district itself is rated number 2 in Washington. It has outstanding A ratings in college preparation, academics, teachers, sports, and food, which is worth noting. Mercer Island is absolutely charming.
The number 4 suburb to live in outside of Seattle is Issaquah, Washington. This city is just east of Bellevue and just on the southeast side of Lake Sammamish. If you are an outdoor enthusiast and you like to hike and have easy proximity to camping and skiing and snowboarding and rafting, this is going to be the city for you. This city is just absolutely beautiful. It's nestled right down below Squawk Mountain and Tiger Mountain. And it's got a quaint little downtown, lots of shopping and theaters and things to do in town. And the community just feels really safe and clean. And there's just outdoor activities and lakes everywhere. Within a 5 to 10 minute drive, you can hit Pine Lake, you can hit the large Lake Sammamish, which is a 7-mile lake just east of Seattle. It's just gorgeous. So beautiful. Now, the con of living in Issaquah is you're a little bit further out. So it's about 20-minute drive into Seattle and about 25-30 minutes to get to SeaTac Airport. So if you have to commute a lot by plane, it's It's going to be hard, especially or if you have to go into Seattle each day, you're going to have to hit some traffic on 900 getting into the main freeways that will take you to Seattle. So a little bit of a con because you're a little bit out of the way. But Issaquah, you can have properties that have more land. There's tons of properties that have views because there's definitely several highlands areas in Issaquah, kind of like looking down at the Cascades and Lake Sammamish. So just absolutely stunning. Let's hop in my car and go check out Issaquah.
Issaquah is an incredible suburb outside of Bellevue and Seattle, across from Lake Sammamish. Its population is 39,000 people. It's 20 minutes from Seattle and also 25 minutes from the airport. The median home price in Issaquah is $1,057,000, and the average household income is $130,000. School district in Issaquah is outstanding. It earns an A+ rating from niche.com and has outstanding ratings in academics, college prep, teachers, and sports are taken very seriously, and they do very well. 97% graduate in 4 years and test over 70% pass in reading and math. This is an exquisite suburb. If you like the outdoors and a reason you want to move to Washington is to get that Pacific Northwest sort of woodsy feel, you like hiking and picnics and like seeing water and green everywhere, this is going to be the suburb for you. There's not as much to do at night, but there is plentiful, bountiful, endless activities for you to do during the day to appreciate the nature that is the Pacific Northwest. There are literally mountains everywhere.
The number 5 suburb living outside of Seattle, Washington is Renton, Washington. I choose this city because the price point is better than all the suburbs I just mentioned, but the proximity to Bellevue and Seattle is still great. So this location is just impeccable, and you have lots of outdoor amenities and resources really close. So lots of fun things to do in Renton. But if you want even more of that city nightlife, entertainment kind of situation, you're really close to that as well. So Bellevue Bellevue is just north of Renton. Renton is just on the south side of all the suburbs I've just mentioned. So super close to Seattle and Bellevue, especially if you have to work, but lots to do in Renton as well. But definitely the best thing is the lower price point. The downside about living in Renton is definitely that there are different pockets of Renton that you're going to want to do some research about before you take your family to live there, because crime rates might be a little bit higher. So you might not feel as safe. It's just something to think about. I would also say that the downtown Renton area, although it has some incredible parts like Coulon Park and Southport right at the base of Lake Washington, the downtown area just needs a lot of work. Although they do have festivals and community events down there, it's just not a place that you want to frequent very often. It's hard to navigate the roads down there, and there's just a lot of empty buildings, homelessness, things like that. So downtown Renton is definitely a downside of living in Renton, but something to consider. And when I say Renton as the suburb, I'm really talking about the north side of Renton. You can check out some of my other videos to learn more about some of the different neighborhoods in Renton. Something to check out. All right, let's get into my car and check out what Renton has to offer.
Renton population is 105,000 people. This city, located just south of Bellevue and southeast of Seattle, is 20 minutes from Seattle, about 10 minutes from the airport, so extremely close to the airport. And the median home price is much lower than the other top 4 places I've mentioned. Only $676,000, and the average household income is $84,000. The school district has a rating of B, with different ratings throughout the city, and a lot of Renton residents are actually part of the Issaquah School District. The ratings are high in diversity and college prep.
Now, two other towns that did not make my top 5 list but are worth noting is Bothell, which is north of Seattle. It's right on the tip top of Lake Washington, just kind of north of there. Bothell has a super cute downtown. It's a smaller suburb, but just there's like a lot of activities to do. If you don't want to come into Seattle, there's really cute bars. McMenamins is up there, Beardsley's, just some other fun places. And it's also along the Sammamish River Trail, and there's bars on the river actually, and the Sammamish River Trail is just a really cool place to be by the river. You can usually bike, rollerblade, things like that. And then the other town that is just like Bothell as far as being along the Sammamish River Trail is Redmond. And so that almost made my top 5 as well. Just incredible outdoor amenities. Redmond is located in between Bellevue and Kirkland on that northeast side of Seattle. It's got a great mall there. And so really like Redmond as well. So Bothell and Redmond were definitely in the top 7, but didn't quite make my top 5. But definitely check out some of my other videos if you want to know a little bit more in depth about these neighborhoods I discussed today. I hope you got some value from this video. Don't forget to tap that bell for notifications so that you can be the first to know about that current market. And all the information, remember, is in that description below. So I hope to see you around town. Until then, have a fantastic day.